Thokozani, 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 family, Thokozani. Thokozani, please tap the screen, just so everybody knows that we are here. Let's talk. Thokozani family, Hotep Royals. Ninjani, how is everyone doing? Sihlushwa zintuthwane ziphi emabaleni, ubani bezovuma shone phansi. Sihlushwa zintuthwane zimbi emabaleni, ubani bezovuma shone phansi. Sihlushwa zintuthwane zimbi emabaleni, ubani bezovuma shone phansi. Sihlushwa zintuthwane zimbi emabaleni, ubani bezovuma shone phansi. Thokozani, Hotep, Ndaweshewe, Camakwini, Lesedihanya, Jambo, Kedu, Muribwanji, Nangadef. How is everyone doing? Black Nation, how is everyone doing? Please keep tapping the screen. Let's get up in the algorithm. We have a family meeting to convene. Family meeting. Please keep tapping that screen. Let's see how many likes we get on this. Those likes mean that this thing goes up in the algorithm. Once again, this will be posted on YouTube. And by the way, I have found a way in which I can actually go live on YouTube while simultaneously streaming on Facebook. So I'm just trying to figure out that technology. And once I figured out that technology, we are on our way. So if you are not on YouTube, it's African Spirituality, Gogo Nkanyezi Speaks. Please do go and like and subscribe. There's already a lot of content there that you can binge watch if you like. Somebody says, I like you. I like you too. Matter of fact, I love you. If you're melanated like I am, I love you. I love my Black family with everything in my heart. Yeah, I'll have both going. So it means that I won't be coming live here, but I will be going live on YouTube, and I will be going live on YouTube, but it will also stream to Facebook. I would have loved to be able to stream here, but that particular app does not allow me to stream here. It will allow me to stream on Instagram. It will allow me to stream on X, now that X also has live streaming available. But those two platforms, I don't particularly care for them. So Facebook, I have quite a big family over there. I think I have 58 or 57K followers on there. But you guys, our YouTube has grown. YouTube is now sitting at 16K, I think 16,400. And I look on this page, I'm like, I've got over 200,000 followers. Why aren't you all going to subscribe to my YouTube, Mother Family? You know that on this TikTok, there's not much that goes on in terms of revenue. So in terms of things that I'd like us to do together, the revenue on YouTube is really good, and I can monetize my Facebook as well. And these lives are not really and have never really been about creating revenue. However, because revenue assists us to do things. For example, revenue will assist us when we start doing the workshops on our new offering, which is this book, which is Let's Talk About Breaking the Cycles. We cannot really do that unless we have resources. So for me, for example, to get adequate room on Zoom, I'd need to pay for a subscription so that we can meet, and those who get the book, we can then workshop it together, because like I said, this is heavy duty, serious deep healing for Indlovukazi. So somebody says, please teach me how to send you a gift. I have no idea how to do that, Stando Sam. But you can go and subscribe on YouTube and it's free. And your presence on YouTube, the book, to be honest with you, you have to go to the link in my bio. There's a link in my bio, which is a link tree. If you press on the link tree, it opens. You will see where it says Queen Consciousness. Queen Consciousness, because this was co-authored by Gogo Tankiso and myself. So, and yeah, there is the video I did with Ugogo explaining how this came about is actually on YouTube right now. So you can go ahead and listen to that interview as well. The link tree is also on my YouTube bio. So if you go to the bio, you'll see the link tree. Press on it. It will take you to Nkanyezi Healing. And then under Nkanyezi Healing, you will see Queen Consciousness is the first thing you see. And then there are links there which will assist you in purchasing the book. And you can purchase this book from anywhere in the world. We made it possible for people to be able to purchase from anywhere in the world. Ndlovukazi, especially, this is about our work, our deep work that we need to do for ourselves as we literally heal some deep generational wounds that are hindering or stopping us from becoming who we need to become, especially during this age of the divine feminine. This is our time. This is Great Mother's time, really. And if we don't come right, then the world will not come right. And if you say, how so? Then it means you definitely need this book, because this is where we talk and delve into who we really are. Who we really are. And this is no exaggeration. This is not us trying to big ourselves up as in Ndlovukazi. It is literally about us taking our rightful place as goddess. So, on that note, I thought I'd come. Yesterday, remember we talked about those who were here yesterday. And if you weren't here yesterday, you can go and watch the full video on spiritual versus physical consent, and how many of us are saying yes to things because we're not saying no, right? The power of the voice. And as I was sitting here just quiet before I came on, it came to me that I also needed to warn everybody in the collective about what time it is. Many of us are going to be attacked in the throat chakra. The throat chakra. What is the throat chakra? The throat chakra is that energetic point that allows us to be able to speak. And incidentally, many in Ndlovukazi's throat chakra is closed because of trauma, because they carry a lot of trauma, and many have been through experiences that they've never spoken about. This is where we're going to do the work to break those cycles, because sometimes your inability to use your throat chakra to speak is not just a problem you have in this current incarnation. It is a problem you may have from previous lifetimes. It is also a problem you may have because your ancestors and its ancestors, meaning the women in your lineage, went through and suffered through things that they passed on without ever having spoken about. So we have to do a lot of healing around the throat chakra. But I did want to say that in this time we're in, and with what I'm about to share with you, do not be surprised when we start doing the work. And I'm going to tell you what work that is. Do not be surprised, both in Ndlovukazi and the men, that your throat chakra will be blocked. We will see a lot of tonsillitis. We will see a lot of bronchitis. How often have you tried to talk and suddenly you're trying to say something and suddenly you start coughing and coughing, and you don't have a cold? You are not somebody who suffers allergies, but out of the blue, you cannot articulate what you wanted to articulate because you're blocked. This same sensation or this same thing happens to many people when they are in their dream state. You know how when you're in your dream state and you're under attack and you're trying to scream, and it literally feels like your voice has been blocked, and this heaviness or this entity that is there is preventing you from screaming, it's preventing you from running. Well, that is the kind of attack I'm talking about when I talk about the throat chakra. And it manifests in the physical too, when you're wide awake like this, where you start talking about a particular subject, and if there happens to be an entity or an energy or somebody is doing work to silence you, you start coughing, right? It's a distraction so that you don't say what it is you wanted to say, and it's literally blocking you from talking, right? So I wanted to talk about us as a collective so that you understand the level at which we as a collective are consenting to things that are being done to us, because we don't voice out and speak against it, and we don't cancel it, right? I explained how we do that yesterday. Now we're going to talk about how we do it as a collective. So you ask yourself, well, as a collective, how are we consenting by not saying no? Simple. Television. Television. Many of you believe that television was created or invented so that you are entertained. I'm here to tell you that that was a purpose of television, but that wasn't the only purpose. Because what is entertainment? Entertainment is a way of distracting yourself. When you tune in to watch a TV show, most times you get totally absorbed into that TV show. No matter what sort of problems you had, what happens? For the time that you are engaged fully with that show, you forget about your problems, right? And you might say, well, that's not a bad thing, right? To distract yourself from your problems. Well, it gets a little more insidious. Television was created also to pipe in messages into your home. And these messages that are being piped into your home are supposed and are engineered to affect your subconscious and to start influencing your behavior. So, you've heard of subliminal advertising, when they want you to buy stuff. They have a huge Coke advert or a Nike advert. It's fast moving, and they show you the Nike shoe and the what. Embedded in the advert are messages that your subconscious, not your conscious, but your subconscious absorb. And 2 weeks maybe of watching such an advert 3 or 4 times, what do you find yourself doing? You find yourself in a Nike store buying those Air Nikes or whatever it is that they have been subconsciously telling you that this is what you want. That your life without this Nike shoe is useless. That you are missing something if you don't have this Nike shoe. There is a lot of symbolism involved in those adverts. If you look at the Nike swoosh comes from one of the symbols of the god Saturn, the god of war. There is a lot of ritualing that happens with all of these Western companies to entice you subconsciously into buying into and going and spending your money on things sometimes that you, and actually oftentimes you don't need these things. But if you watch their adverts, they are sprinkled throughout your TV shows. If you watch these adverts long enough, somewhere, somehow, you start telling yourself that you need this thing. And you don't tell yourself consciously. By the time you're saying consciously, hey, you know, that's such a nice shoe. Hey, I need this shoe. I'm going to get it. Your subconscious has been working over time. Remember, your subconscious is what influences 90% of your physical behavior. I've often told you that if you look at the state of your life, the state of your life is because of subconscious narratives that are running right there in the back, quietly in your subconscious. So what you're feeding your conscious mind as you watch TV gets embedded, if you do it often enough, gets embedded into your subconscious. So your conscious mind is your mind now, your thoughts now. But then those thoughts, if you're constantly feeding your conscious, they then get filofaxed and filed in your subconscious, and they just become, it's like a running continuous record that is just running. That then comes forth to manifest in the actions you start taking. Are we understanding each other? So I want you guys to understand and to awaken and to become conscious of what are you feeding your conscious mind. Because television is one of the ways in which, that's why they call it a propaganda machine. If you want to change or shift the mindset of a nation and change the behaviors of a nation, what do? You shut down everything else and you have, say, one national television station or radio station where you are constantly piping in, say, patriotic messages. China did it. That time when China shut down the world, I think it was for 30 odd years, where China would not allow any other media except Chinese media to stream into people's homes, whether that was by radio or by television. Many people say, okay, in that was a negative thing. I mean, Westerners will tell you there was no freedom, there was no this. But let me tell you what that did to the Chinese people. By the time 30 years came, what had happened to China? China is now the superpower. And Chinese people, you don't mess with a Chinese person when it comes to patriotism and knowing who they are. Chinese people know who they are. That's why wherever they are in the world, they will celebrate Chinese New Year. Wherever they are in the world, they eat their Chinese food. Wherever they are in the world, you will find that any other language they speak is spoken very poorly. But when it comes to Cantonese or Mandarin, they are on it. Why? Because for several decades, which probably span 1 or 2 generations, this was a programming. So understand the power of television. So now here we are as the Black family. We ingest and take in because we consume. So we are ingesting and consuming all manner of content embedded in which are messages that embed themselves in our subconscious. And because we don't actively say no to some of these messages, we are consenting, even if it's messaging that is negative for us. There are people in the United States who have suddenly woken up to this, and I stopped watching slave narratives. All these movies they make about slavery and being slaves. What do you think they were doing? "12 years a slave." This other slave Kunta Kinte, this. You're sitting there, you're watching, and you're not realizing that no. They are subconsciously trying to program you into believing that you are a slave. Your subconscious takes that in. Your kids are watching this stuff, and all they see is that we were slaves. We were slaves. Even the languaging is that. Everything in the movie is showing you as somebody who was subjugated, who was beaten, who was raped, who was sold off. In your subconscious, you are ingesting, and it becomes a running thing. They are showing you how they broke up the family. They are showing you that they would never allow people to be a family. What is that doing in your subconscious? It is embedding that thing that says the Black nation cannot hold a family together. In those narratives, they are showing Black men as brutes. Black men as brutes who deserve to be beaten. Black men as brutes who deserve to be thrown, in dungeons and to be lynched. What do you think that's doing in your subconscious? Have many of you ever wondered why then our kids are out on the street and the police are doing the things that they do to them? Because we all know that the police are what? Slave patrol. Even if you look at their badge, and if you look at the badge of slave patrol during the days of slavery, it's the exact same badge. It hasn't changed one bit. So the script for the police is the same as the script for slave patrol. Meaning those people who used to hunt runaway slaves, those people who used to make sure that slaves do the right thing, those people who used to make sure that if a Black man looked, so much as looked at a white person, you could get lynched for that. So that is what they are feeding. And when you're watching the slave narratives, what are you seeing? Most of the time, they're not showing you slaves fighting back. They're showing you slaves being subdued. What has been one major problem with the Black nation? It is that they continue to kill us, and all we do is go on the streets and we protest until now. You guys heard the story of the father who unalived a policeman for doing what to his child, for killing his child. I was like, the sleeping giant is awake. Because you guys have to remember something about our relationship with the colonizer and the enslaver. We as Abantu have been afraid to unalive. We've been afraid to kill. But I'll tell you something about the colonizer. The colonizer is afraid to die. That is their existential fear, is fear of annihilation. And so they would feed you a narrative in which they were killing you, but you were showing humanity. You were constantly always showing humanity, even to the very same enslaver. How many slave narratives have we seen of how the slaves saved the master's plantation? And those narratives are false narratives. Because last I did my research, our ancestors who were enslaved this side used to fight and fight hard. They won't show you those narratives. Because see, now if they show you those narratives, they are programming you to fight. They are programming you not to fear, to kill the enemy. So I want you to understand very deeply so that you also watch, what are you exposing your children to? What are you allowing your children to consume? Because all of that consumption goes into the subconscious. People talk about The Simpsons a lot and they say, oh my gosh, what's happening now? The Simpsons predicted this. The Simpsons is a cartoon that literally they are telling you what they are about to do. But because we don't understand the spiritual nature and aspect of these things, we watch a cartoon and we're like, oh, wow. And then after the thing they showed us they were going to do has happened, what do we say? Oh, wow. We saw this in the Simpsons. The Simpsons predicted that. The Simpsons didn't predict anything. It's a script that they are writing. And you ask yourself, well, why are they doing it? So that they pre-program you to sit like lame ducks while they do whatever it is they want. Music is the same. Lots of subliminal messaging in the lyrics of the songs we're listening to. You are thinking, I'm here and I'm here for the beat. Oh, the beat is good. I can get down to this beat. But your subconscious is taking in those lyrics. And in a lot of the lyrics, you are consenting to certain things. You're consenting to certain rituals. You're consenting because you're not actively saying no. I wanted us to think about consent and the media. I'll give you another example, X. If you go on X, scroll, 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 boom, suddenly there's a pornographic video right there. It's not accidental that ET creature who owns X is allowing that kind of material to be interspersed in his app. So even if you scroll past that image, but you don't cancel whatever it is you've seen, whatever it is you saw, even if it was for a fraction of a second, imagine you're there, you're minding your business, you're scrolling. You see 3 or 4 of those videos every single time you scroll on there. What do you think is happening in your subconscious mind? And who do you think their target is? Because a lot of the stuff you're seeing there is Black men and women. So why do you think that is? Subconsciously, you have these images now embedded in you. As a Black man, how do you then view Goddess after having seen those things? What is running in your subconscious mind about how you ought to be treating Goddess? As a goddess, when you have seen those images of yourself like a chicken all splayed all over the place, or you're gagging over something and you're spattered with all sorts of nastiness, it is in your subconscious. What is that supposed to do about how you view Goddess? Because remember, how I view myself as Goddess is influenced by other goddesses who appear before me. That's why I always say it's very important who you surround yourself with. So if I am in my goddess energy, but I'm constantly bombarded by these images of degradation of the sacred feminine, and they get embedded in me, do I really sit deeply in my power as goddess? If I, as a masculine, am constantly bombarded with degrading, with images of me, because I see myself in my brother, that's how I know that I am a king, is through the reflection of my brother. If I'm seeing my brothers constantly degrading divine goddess, how do I then view myself as the masculine? Do I really sit in my divinity? Family, this stuff is powerful and they know what they are doing. And I come here to make you aware of these things that are happening to us. And we consent because we don't actively say no. We don't actively cancel as a community. And I say as a community because, once again, yes, we are individuals, but we all form the collective. Yesterday, I talked about the individual things that could be happening within your home and with you just as a person. But as a collective, if this is what we're surrounded by, what is it that we can do as a community to cancel that stuff? Number one, we protect our children. That is why I'm going to say, please, if you have young kids, even if you have teenagers, do not abdicate your parental responsibility, which is to make sure that you patrol what your children are consuming. Number two, when you come across such things, cancel it. Say futsek. Say, I am not a part of this. I will never be a part of this. Cancel it. Because you're not canceling it actively by using your throat chakra against it. I do it all the time, out loud. I come across something like that, I say, futsek, man, sis. Meaning I refuse to allow my divinity to be affected. I refuse to allow that into my subconscious, and I immediately either leave that app and go and do something more constructive. I do ritual work around social media and the things I come across. There was a time where they loved showing this police brutality. Why do you think when police brutality happens, it is so brutal, it is everywhere, the videos are everywhere? Yes, you get angry on the physical, but on a subconscious, this image that you are taking is the image of us subdued, us unalived, us powerless, us without control, us with no agency whatsoever. That is what gets embedded. That is what we then live out, which is why they've continued to kill us over and over again. And the most we do is protest. And as long as we are protesting and running around, guess what? They're like, yeah, we got them good. But now there's one brother who has shown us what needs to be done. And the courage, the heart of a lion to say, you come after mine, I'm coming after you. And I will deal with whatever consequences. That is where getting in touch with our protector, our God self really is. We cannot be passive with anything we consume, because the same passivity that you have with what you're consuming is going to play out in how, when we are under attack, we are just as passive. Protesting is passive, family. Protesting is passive. They know this. Only we hadn't opened our eyes. That's why they continue to do what they do, because all we do is protest. But there's a brother, there is a king who said, you did what? You tore my heart out when you unalived my son. An eye for an eye. And that is how we create ma'at, balance. They were very smart, because remember, they had given you this religion which says, turn the other cheek. If your enemy comes for you and slaps you here, turn the other cheek. If your enemy hurts you, you forgive them 70 times, 70 times, 70 times, ad infinitum. Forever you are forgiving. They don't hold themselves to that same standard. But they knew that once the sleeping giant woke up to reality and the fact that we've been bamboozled, it was game on. And that's where we all ought to be. I don't know if you guys saw the images of this divine brother in court. and the sheer hatred that was on the faces of the KKK police officers who were staring him down. They looked like they wanted to eat him. And guess what? They couldn't intimidate him, even though he knew what he had done. He was like, and he looked them all straight in the face, and he walked out of the courtroom with his head held high. We are waking up. I was like, the sleeping giant has finally woken up. They come for us, we go after them. That is a law of nature. You are obligated to protect yourself. You are obligated to maintain ma'at. And ma'at seeks balance. Balance was restored by that divine king. So this is to show you that spirituality is not woo-woo. Spirituality is not, all love and light. Spirituality is light and dark. And sometimes we need to be able to walk in the dark so we can bring light in there. Light was brought into the darkness of that family that lost their son. The dad did that. So, once again, as you go through the media, as you listen, even things you read, remember you're consuming. Even as you open a book to read it, your subconscious is there, taking and filofaxing. It's not just that you read a book and that was that. That is why I'm very much against sci-fi, and I'm against horror stories and things, especially for children, because this is stuff that gets embedded. How many times have we heard of kids acting out because there is a particular game or video game that they were playing that was, and then these kids just turn into wild animals. They turn so violent. What do you think they're doing with those games? Number one, they keep you sitting on the couch for 6 to 7 hours at a time because you get addicted to it. But there's a programming that is happening in the subconscious. And then your 17-year-old or your 16-year-old suddenly turns into a wild animal and you can't control him. And you don't think for a minute that it is this game that he's sitting there and this stuff that he's consuming. All in the name of entertainment. Music, books, social media, television, adverts. Do not consent by not saying no. Use that throat chakra, open that voice and say, Futak, get out of here. Not a part of this. Will never be a part of this. Speak it out loud and cancel that stuff. Otherwise, collectively, we will continue to suffer. Collectively, we will continue to find ourselves feeling powerless, feeling out of control, because we are being kept there. Because we consent without saying no. The minute you don't say no, you've consented. And why, when they do terrible things, do they have you consent without saying no? To bypass karma. Because they understand spirituality so well that they know that this could come and bite us in the butt. But you see, if we told them, maybe not directly. We didn't directly tell them that we're putting fluoride in toothpaste to close your third eye. But we wrote in the small print somewhere that fluoride is... They do this all the time. It's the same with their medications. They'll tell you this medication, and it's on TV, this medication will help you with your heart disease, your cholesterol, your this. And then they will read so quickly side effects. Most people don't even hear the word side effects. They're like, oh my gosh, I think I found something. I need to talk to my doctor to prescribe this for me because this is going to assist me. So when something then happens to you, they're not liable, right? They're not liable because you didn't read the small print. And so therefore, you consented. Because if you'd heard properly what those side effects are, what would you have done? Probably said, oh, heck no. I'm trying to cure my cholesterol and then I'm going to end up with kidney disease? I'm trying to cure my cholesterol and then I'm going to end up with possible pulmonary embolism or a stroke? I'll keep my cholesterol, thank you. I'm trying to show you that they do it on a physical level, but they also do it on a spiritual level. Very insidious, very cunning. But the beauty is we have awoken, right? We are awake. We are wide awake. So that is what you need to do so that as a collective, we rise out of this slumber. As a collective, yes, we are awakening. But what you don't know, you don't know. So for me, whenever I get these occurrences or these downloads, I literally will just hit record and come and share with you guys. Things that you can keep in your spiritual toolkit so that you understand that not everything you see is what is. So that you understand that we are here physical, but in other realms, there are other energies that are working against us. And if we don't spiritually cancel those, then we are consenting. And then we'll get frustrated as, why is the Black nation continue to be stuck? Why are Black people always so divided? Why are Black people... Do you know why we're so divided? Because they still continue to implant things in us that reinforce what they did before, which was the divide and conquer, to keep us all apart. I'll tell you what they're doing. Yes, the devil is in the detail. Yes. Infinite. Is it? I think your infinite one. Yes. The devil is in the details. Look what they're doing right now. Just again, it's on a physical. But what I love about Ibrahim Traore is the fact that he has a team of spiritualists around him who help him also decode some of the stuff, because he understands that, yes, physically they are trying X, Y, Z, but there are spiritual components, there are spiritual things that they do also. So not only is he surrounded by a strong, what you call, does he have strong protection around him in terms of boots on the ground, and people who guard him. But he also has a spiritual team around him all the time that are scanning the spiritual space to see where the loopholes may be. Think about it, 22 assassination attempts and they still haven't gotten him. Why do you think that is? Because physically they have enough people who are willing to do it. But that's because the spiritual team is on high alert and are able to see certain things spiritually that are being done. So by the time these ones that are boots on the ground, the physical sellouts and everybody else who's trying to get at him, try whatever it is they're trying, doesn't work, they get caught. So I want us to really understand so that as divine beings, as humans having this spiritual experience, we recognize that you cannot separate the two. All is interconnected. And understanding too that anything that manifests in the physical already has been created in the spiritual. So if you go into the spiritual and do some cancellation work in there, whatever is supposed to manifest physically won't. That is how you defeat this insidious, centuries-old enemy. And I am just so grateful. What a time to be alive, because we're here now and we're awake. A few years ago, we couldn't have been having these kind of conversations because many of us had no clue. So family, I hope this has been useful for you. I'm going to put this up on YouTube. Please share it out with your family. Share it out with your friends, because really, really, the more of us, and I'm going to bring more advanced teachings because we've done the surface level work, right? The surface level work, if you're new to me and you haven't followed, please go on YouTube, subscribe, binge watch. We've done the surface level work. It's time to do the deep work. It's time to become the spiritualists that we really are. And that is not limited to people who are initiated like me. Yes, I have particular gifts. Yes, I have particular insights. That is why I come here to teach you. Because there was once a time where we were all highly spiritually aware and awakened. The time is coming where we will be able to communicate with each other telepathically. Some of us are already doing it. I sit with my spiritual kids and then simultaneously we all go, and we say the same thing at exactly the same time. That is where it needs to go. Because once we get there, they can't touch us. Yes, tipping points have tipped, Empress. Thank you. Thank you, your infinite one. I really appreciate you guys. Ne? So until the next time, I'll try to come back tomorrow if I'm told that. I always get told. Yesterday I literally almost hit the live button again, but I was so tired. I was like, no, let me leave it until the next day. So I'm going to repost this on YouTube, and let's stay alert spiritually as well as physically alert. And let's do the work that we need to do. We're almost there. Like we are 1/4 there. We are 5 to there. Great Mother is here. We have all the support that we need. We just need to tap into it. And then we need to do whatever necessary work that we need to do. Ne? Love you, Black Nation. Masithokozeni.